Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Radar, the podcast that takes you into the world of Safran and looks at everything that affects the group on a daily basis. In this new episode, we'll be exploring a unique location that you may not know exists. Have you ever wondered what happens to aircraft when they aren't flying? To find out, we're here in Tarbes, south of France, just a few steps from the airport at the facilities of Tarmac Aerosave. This is where stationary, damaged, or end-of-life aircraft are brought to be stored, repaired, given a new look, or recycled. This is where it all happens. So, how does it work? What do we do with an aircraft when it isn't flying? Can all the faults be repaired? And what exactly happens if you have to dismantle and recycle them? Is there a circular economy for aircraft? And what role does an equipment manufacturer like Safran have to play in this? We'll be discussing this topic with today's guest, Alexandre Brun, CEO of Tarmac Aerosave. So bring out your tools and wrenches, and don't forget your safety shoes. We're heading into Tarmac Aerosave to explore the aircraft stored on this lot and inside the hangars. Hello, Alexandre Brun.
Hello.
Thank you for welcoming us here at Tarmac Aerosave. We are currently here at one of your three sites in Tarbes, southern France. Our tour starts here on what looks like a massive runway with aircraft lined up one behind the other. There are about 10 behind us. They are waiting for maintenance or repairs. After all, that is what you do here at Tarmac Aerosave. Can you tell us a bit more about what you do?
Tarmac Aerosave was founded in 1927 by Airbus, Safran and Suez. It specializes in storage, maintenance and recycling of aircraft and engines. Tarmac Aerosave operates out of Tarbes, of course, Teruel in the highlands of Aragon, Spain since 2013, and Toulouse at the Francazal Airport on the former military base since 2017. The company was founded following a European aircraft reconstruction project called PAMILA, designed to optimize the dismantling and recycling of aircraft. In the past, the construction was rare in Europe due to the low number of aircraft. But not all aircraft sold here are at the end of their life. In fact, after launching its recycling operations, Tarmac gradually expanded into storage and maintenance. Today we operate across the entire life cycle of an aircraft, from light maintenance to final decommissioning, essentially at a one-stop shop.
Looking around, I did a quick count. There are 21, maybe 22 aircraft lined up on this massive outdoor runway. But how many aircraft are currently on site? And how many pass through each year?
Since its founding, Tarmac has handled over 1,600 aircraft, more than 1,200 of which were returned to flight, whether after storage, transition between operators or maintenance. 160 aircraft have arrived this year alone.
160. Many of them still have their airline liveries. If I understand correctly, this means that Tarmac's customers include both aircraft owners and operators, such as leasing companies and airlines. But what about equipment manufacturers such as Safran?
Our customers are the owners or operators of aircraft and engines, and sometimes the brokers in our dismantling or recycling business. Safran Aircraft Engines is one of our engine workshops customers. We provide them with the storage, maintenance, and recycling services for certain old CFM 56 engines.
Now, as we make our way towards the T1 hangar, home to the iconic A380,
yes.
Can you tell us more about aircraft that have reached their end of life and won't fly again? How many aircraft are dismantled and recycled each year? And above all, how is an aircraft's end of life determined?
Since its creation, Tarmac has recycled over 410 aircraft and more than 250 engines. Like any machine, an aircraft must be dismantled and recycled responsibly. The dismantling phase consists of removing reusable parts for the used market. Tarmac has also developed a process called greening, in which aircraft parts are carefully stripped and stored until the green coating of aluminum structure is reached. Hence the term greening. Following this stage, we can recycle the various components through different channels.
There's a market for second-hand aircraft parts. Can you buy a second-hand aircraft part like you would any other second-hand equipment?
Yes, of course. Used aircraft parts are sold through platforms used by all operators where they can find parts to reduce the cost of maintaining the aircraft. On average, 30% of a recycled aircraft's mass consists of reusable parts. As such, this is a final sustainable reuse loop.
Alexandre, you just told us that there's a second-hand market for aircraft parts. Can everything on an aircraft be recovered?
Several parts are systematically recovered. Typically, we recover between 800 and 2,000 parts according to market demand. The demand for parts is what dictates what gets salvaged. We mostly recover engines, landing gear, computers, hydraulic systems, and sometimes even flight controls.
We've now arrived at the T1 hangar dedicated to maintenance. We see a massive aircraft that is being worked on. That's an A380, right?
Yes, that's an A380 undergoing maintenance.
What else is being done on this aircraft?
We're testing all the controls, and we're also going to lift it so we can test the landing gear.
Yes, we can see it there.
To make sure that everything works properly when it starts up again.
We can see work going on everywhere. Below, on the wings, a comprehensive maintenance check is being carried out.
That's right. Everything is tested.
We are now heading towards the aircraft recycling area. In a few words, before we arrive, could you explain to us what is being done here?
What makes Tarmac special is its capacity to recycle 92% of an aircraft's weight.
That's quite a few tons.
Precisely. In this area, two stages are carried out. First, a dismantling stage where we will remove the parts that the customer has requested to recover to place them on the used market. This is followed by the sorting of materials and the greening operation that I was telling you about earlier. The aircraft is then cut into sections to extract all the aluminum parts.
We've just arrived in the recycling area. In front of us, we have an aircraft in its final stage. It's missing quite a few parts. Are those its seats behind us?
Yes, they are used as packaging. We are removing the final part. We are removing the landing gears. These are the last parts that will be recovered before the aircraft is cut off.
For our listeners, we will try to describe it to you a little. We have the fuselage. Both wings are still there. The aircraft still has its tail. The nose is missing.
The aircraft has been raised up. You see, it has been lifted at 3 points. The wheels have been removed from the rear landing gear. They are in the process of removing the front landing gear, and the 2 rear landing gears will then be removed.
As you said, the recycling of end-of-life aircraft is spearheaded by Europe. What's next?
In Europe, we don't have much space, so we are forced to recycle aircraft. In the United States, they have large deserts where they store the aircraft and use them as spare parts depot.
So, does that mean that you can find vast aircraft graveyards there?
Of course, there are aircraft graveyards with hundreds of aircrafts.
And then they get rid of them without reusing anything?
They don't sort the materials as source. They crush everything and carry out a little bit of sorting at the end. So the recycling rate is much lower than ours.
Alexandre Brun, we're now heading to the place where you repair or maintain the engines. In the meantime, while we're on our way there, can the materials you recover from aircrafts be reused in the aviation industry?
Today, very little. It's starting to happen for some materials, but there's still a lot of work to be done to maintain this aeronautical quality and to be able to reuse it in castings that will be used in the aerospace industry.
Can you provide us with some specific examples of what these materials can be used for?
These materials are used in the construction industry. For example, aluminum is used to manufacture windows or sports equipment. Either way, it is reused.
You heard that, listeners? Your windows may have been part of an aircraft in a past life.
Yes.
We are now headed to where the aircraft engines are repaired. Alexandre Brun, could you tell us if aircraft often break down?
It is very rare for an aircraft to break down. Airlines and rental companies prefer to use a preventive maintenance approach to prevent this from happening and to optimize their costs as much as possible. We have built a specific workshop in Tarbes for engine maintenance. There are 3 activities carried out in this workshop: the storage of all types of engines, basic engines maintenance, and the recycling of older generation engines, such as the CFM56. Repairs are carried out on site, but also off site, particularly for LEAP engines, where we can work out of other airports. The aircraft are maintained in one of our 7 hangars at our 3 sites. We perform regulatory maintenance on all types of aircraft, covering a wide range from ATRs to Boeings and Airbuses, including models from the Airbus A220 to the A380.
What does this maintenance schedule mean for an aircraft? Is it every year, every 2 years, or every 6 months?
We primarily perform inspections every 18 months to 2 years, as well as major checks every 6 years.
That's not too often given the size of these aircraft.
Not at all. Next, airlines conduct regular daily and weekly inspections to ensure everything runs smoothly.
Alexandre, since we're discussing maintenance and engines, can we take a broader look at aircraft maintenance? Where does Tarmac Aerosave stand compared to the major players in the industry?
Our agility allows us to excel in engine and landing gear changes. We are expanding this expertise as well as off-site operations. Additionally, by carrying out more heavy maintenance, we are also capitalizing for the fact that we have fewer recommissioning operations to carry out, given that we now have fewer aircraft in storage. To strengthen this, we are implementing a 2-shift check line at each of our sites, allowing us to operate at a level similar to major maintenance companies. But the current market is big enough for everyone. There are no issues on this end.
We're now in the hangar dedicated to engine maintenance. Alexandre, I'm surprised by how quiet it is. I was expecting to see more of a bustle. Everyone seems so focused.
Maintenance workshops are always very quiet. In this workshop, we have 3 activities, one of which is storage. Essentially, on behalf of Safran aircraft engines, we dismantle CFM56 engines that are used to supply the used market. There is also the maintenance of LEAP engines, where we carry out return to lease work and inspection work on behalf of Safran aircraft engines. This area is also responsible for what we call the QECs, or the quick engine changes, which are the parts that connect the engine to the aircraft. We are equipped with this type of assembly, and we also carry out light maintenance operations such as quick turns for Safran aircraft engines.
So not only do you repair the engines as needed, but you also keep those that are not yet needed, but which could be useful in the future.
Absolutely. Engines are preserved under controlled humidity conditions, regularly checked and kept ready for future use.
We've talked about breakdowns and recycling, but here in Tarbes, some aircraft are preparing for a second life, often under the colors of a new airline. For these aircraft, you also carry out some cosmetic work, so to speak.
With the largest long-haul storage capacity in Europe, we can accommodate up to 280 aircraft across all our sites. A stored aircraft is one that will be returned to service. Some stay with us for a few weeks, others for months, and in some cases even years before returning to service. And during this entire period, the aircraft is carefully looked after. This means that all the fragile parts are protected, including the cabin, which is preserved in its desired state. The aircraft is kept in flying conditions so that it is ready to take off again as soon as its owner requests. This involves daily monitoring and regular maintenance. Normally, an owner transfers it from an operator to another during a storage period, which may involve a change of cabin equipment or livery.
So livery refers to everything on the outside, the colors, the name of the company. What about the inside of the aircraft?
Seats, carpets, and the galleys, the kitchen areas. This is because each airline arranges items like the coffee maker or microwave differently, and every company needs to be consistent in placement of these elements.
This means that even though it's the same aircraft, the interior is never identical across airlines.
That's right, they're all different.
Do you have an aircraft that holds the record for the longest time spent here before flying again?
After COVID, we brought back into service aircraft that had been in storage for over 7 years.
Not bad at all. Is more work required when they've been out of service for so long?
No, because they've been maintained in flight condition. So it's the same as putting an aircraft that has been in storage for several months back into service.
Alexandre Brun, we're coming to the end of this podcast. Can you give us a quick overview of your current activity?
Our activity is very intense. Tarmac Aerosave has grown steadily since its creation. Initially, we only offered an aircraft recycling service. Over time, we moved into new areas such as storage, light maintenance with recommissioning, maintenance and checks, now offering checks every 6 years. We also set up this engine workshop. We have 3 state-of-the-art facilities that are accessible from anywhere, coupled with a skilled, agile, and highly responsive workforce capable of providing all ground services. Certain crises, whether short or long-term, such as company bankruptcies, the volcanic eruption in Iceland, or COVID-19, have taught us to be extremely responsive and flexible when we need to receive a large number of aircraft almost simultaneously. We also learn to be able to quickly release them as soon as customers need them again. Currently, 80% of our activities is focused on storage and maintenance. We continue to invest heavily in all our sites to ensure they meet the market's needs. Since 2022, we have been constantly recruiting aircraft mechanics and other qualified personnel on a large scale to support our growth.
Thank you, Alexandre Brun, for being today's Radar. We'll see you all very soon for a new episode of Radar.